Well, good evening everyone and welcome to Invictus Racing League. This week we are in the streets of Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. I am your host as always, Ryan, and alongside me is none other than our reigning PS4 F2 Drivers Champion, Jakob. How you doing, buddy? Alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. Looking forward to the Monaco Grand Prix tonight with the halfway point. I believe it marks the halfway point of the season, so should be getting a nice break after this one. And yeah, let's see what happens tonight.
Yeah, a week's break for everybody after this, just to wind down from a busy first half. Round 6 tonight. Round 7 will be after next week, starting in Canada. So, but yeah, the guys need to endure quite a strenuous and stressful race tonight. 39 laps here around the streets of Monte Carlo. It's not an easy feat. Majority of the races so far this week across Invictus Racing League have seen dry weather. I think there's only been a couple that have seen spots of rain, but it's actually been mixed weather through each race. So it'll be interesting to see what we get tonight for the PS4 F3 division. So we do have a slightly smaller grid than usual, Jacob, but I don't think that's going to stop any action from occurring tonight.
Yeah, no, definitely not the smaller grid. We still have some of the title favourites with RNJ, DeLange and Kessa, I believe. So top 3 is in the lobby at least. And interestingly enough, as I had a look at the standings, I've seen that in the first 5 races of the season, we've had 4 different race winners. So no one seems to be certain on a win or even a podium, as we've had loads of different podium finishes already. So could we maybe see a surprise here at Monaco tonight? Who knows?
Yeah, just exactly half the grid with podiums to their name so far this season, Jacob. And just looking at the weather report at the minute, it does look as if we're at least going to get a dry start to qualify, and we'll wait for confirmation to come through from your division admins regarding the rest of it, as the first cars look to make their way out to the grid. It does look as if the first car to exit the pit box is going to be a Renault, either by Adri Lockdock or Beck 9000. So Beck 9000 is going to be the first car out on track, wasting absolutely no time. Straight out onto the softs. Quite a mixture of strategies available for our drivers this evening. 2-stop actually being the quickest, but this is not the track that you want to be getting held up in traffic. Grid position is literally going to be everything tonight. Almost impossible to overtake, and if you do, it's going to take some doing to get round the outside of some of these drivers, as the battling's been extremely close. Bumper to tail we can expect for pretty much the full night. 39 laps, nose to tail.
Yeah, and this track is obviously a driver's track for some drivers, and other drivers, they despise this track with everything they know and love. But should be interesting to see the likes of Simon Palm, how he'll get on tonight. As we know, he loves to defend, and this is certainly a track for defending to take place. So if he gets in a good qualifying, he maybe just end up in the points tonight, as he has been lacking the point scoring with his earlier race ban this season, with Alfa Romeo not being quite where they probably would have liked.
Beck 9000 is just starting his lap, takes Sandoval almost perfectly, using all the track, and again it's not something that's terribly easy to do with all these barriers coming at you at those kind of speeds through Maisonette and into the casino. So head down, avoiding that kink on the left hand side of the track. Purple sector 1 is the first car out, as he's now heading down in towards the Grand Hotel hairpin. Very nicely up and down the gears there from Beck 9000 in that Renault, as he goes through Pote and heads down now through into the tunnel. Longest open throttle as Jeffrey Henney picks up a 5-place grid penalty, unfortunately, through the Novelle chicane now for Beck 9000 in his Renault, turns 10 and 11. He heads down now through into Tabac, being careful. This is where the majority of wing damage could be picked up now into the swimming pool section, trying to hook it up perfectly. A lot of invalidations can come through here as the jumps into Rascar's big lock up from the inside front right now, heading into the final two corners. Only DRS straight on the circuit for this evening. Beck 9000 is going to set the benchmark time. It's a 1:10.4, not a bad time at all, Jacob.
No, looks to be a decent banker lap with the first lap, and Hailstone just after hitting 10.7, so 2.5 tenths between the two. Beck setting a decent banker time and look to be well in control of his car.
We'll stay on board now with Keza, the lone Ferrari out there this evening, hot off a victory last week in Abu Dhabi. Has actually been showing great pace in practice as well, so we'll stay on board with him and see what sort of times he can be getting. I've seen a few of his times. He has managed to break the 9s, even claiming to get low 9s as he does go ahead and set a purple sector 1 immediately down into the hairpin now. Very wide line through there, Jacob, as he's now heading down towards the tunnel. Careful not to invalidate. He's definitely using every single bit of track that's available to him. Short shifts up through the gears and into the tunnel.
Yeah, he looks to be very cautious on the throttle there out of the hairpin. And looks to be in very neat and tight lap so far, using, as you said, all the track possible there. Almost hitting the wall now and into turn, what is turn 12, and now coming into turn 18 and 19. Very tricky and very easy to lock up the front right there. Possible to go into first here, but manages to stay in second and gets early on the throttle and DRS.
Well, with 2 purple sectors, it is going to be enough for provisional pole. He's only nipped it by a 10th from Beck 9000 in his Renault. Reschke following pretty closely with another 10th away. It does look as if there isn't many cars out on the track at the minute that actually seem to be on a flying lap. It's going to be Steel B on his out lap. We'll stay on board with the man in the harsh to see what he can do for us now through Sunday and it's already in a validation, unfortunately.
Yeah, very easy to invalidate your lap into turn 1 if you take a bit too much curb, and very easy if you do manage to keep the lap validated out of turn 1, very easy then to hit the wall on the exit, so very tricky corner, the T1.
Now, despite the deltas telling us that the mediums are 1.2 seconds a lap slower than the softs, Matty's actually put his lap in now on the mediums. And if it is only 1.2, that's enough to put him on the front row with Keza if he puts on a set of softs. So
yeah, decent lap by Matty there. 1.3 of provisional pole at the moment with 2 laps old medium, then Keza even going 2 laps on his soft, so we'll definitely have to watch out for him later in qualifying, as I believe you lose a couple of tenths each lap on the soft tyres, so he'll definitely be looking to get into the 1.9s.
I'll tell you something that we haven't seen much of that's so far this season. Gareth Hall's actually made it out of the pits with more than 3 minutes to go. Something that isn't unfamiliar is him being on the slightly harder compound and preferred for qualifying. He's out in the mediums, but getting a little look in before he maybe opts to put on a set of softs a little bit later on in the session, so keep an eye on that as he's on his out lap, just about to start his flying lap. But I do believe that Craig, just a bit further up the road, as I have went to him, he has unfortunately invalidated his lap already. We can jump on board with Simon Palmer, who I do believe is on a flyer, and he's just absolutely mashed the wall, just heading down towards the swimming pool section. I think that was the outside wall there at the back. Yep, unfortunate. So we'll jump back on board with Gareth Hall on his mediums and see what he can do for us in these Mercedes. Very difficult track to let other cars through during qualifying, as Gareth actually goes ahead and takes a purple sector 1, so looking a bit pacey so far, maybe just a little bit wide through the hairpin as well, but certainly proceeding to get the banker lap in with a dose of caution.
Yeah, Gareth seemed to miss his braking point at a couple of corners there, but yeah, purple sector 1 as it said, but maybe that, we're not certain if that's true, but I believe it says that with almost everyone, but purple sector 1 nonetheless, and then hitting the wall and the entry there into turn 15, 16 there, coming to 18, 19, very wide line, avoid locking up the tyres there, very wide again out of turn 19, and then early on the throttle opening in the DRS and depleting the last of his ERS. As he does a 1:12.4, so 8 tenths between him and Matty on the medium tires there. I'm sure Greg will... No, Gareth, sorry, will be looking to get into the 111s and challenge Matty for the medium runner.
We'll have a little look around and see where everybody else is on track. It's Reshka and his McLaren picking up a purple sector 1 now as he's now down into the hairpin. Looking pretty tidy through there so far, Jakob. Again, hugging all the curb that he can. Oh, big kick of oversteer there. Just out of Potier as he's now heading down through the tunnel. We'll see how he spots his braking point into the Noble chicane. Reshka obviously being a no assist user, is he? Despite the little lock-up, gets the chicane pretty spot on, straddles that yellow sausage curb perfectly. Then again into the back, that's the most speed that I've seen carried through there so far. He's just under half a second up, it's looking pretty tidy, Resh. Light kiss to the barrier, I don't think that's going to compromise him too much. So now heads down into the final corner. Plenty of wheel spin through second and third gear as he keeps it nice and tight to the wall to get to the line. Is it going to be enough? It's not. A 10.3 does manage to improve by a couple of tenths. It's put him within 2 thousandths of Kez on that Ferrari, but it's Beck 9000 that's broke pole position. Provisional pole for Beck. He's into the 9s, a 109.905. A very good time from the man in the Renault.
Yeah, Beck, the first one to break into the 1.9s, and just having a look at Reshka's time. He lost approximately 2.5 tenths in the sector 3. That might be because of the hit on the inside wall there of turn 15 and 16.
And that could have potentially gave him the opportunity to put it on the front row alongside Beck. Maybe break into a 10 flat, but still plenty of time left in the session and enough to go round again. Still a few drivers, in fact most drivers, yet to actually set a time. So it does look like Steel B's just crossed the line on a set of mediums, a 14.4 for him. And it's now Craig in the Red Bull that's just starting his first flying lap. So into turn 1, Santivo. As he makes his way up the hill, we'll keep an eye on Craig in his Red Bull to see how he can get on. Try to carry as much speed as you can here through the masonette. Again, flagging up purple sector 1, so it does seem as if the guys are hooking up the start of the lap pretty well. Craig a little bit more brake than he really wanted into the hairpin, but still looking pretty tidy, keeping the car nice and under wraps. A bit of understeer there into Potier, but down through the tunnel. We'll see how Craig tackles the Noble chicane. A lot of drivers hooking over to the left there to make sure that they get the car completely straight for their braking point. Good driving here from the guys so far. Plenty of pace carried through from Craig here in the swimming pool section. A lot of drivers getting nice and close to that outside wall though tonight so far, Jakob. Again, it's still looking pretty neat and tidy from Craig. Opens up DRS, let's see what he can do. Is it going to be enough to challenge pole? It's not, fortunately, but not bad. 10.8 from Craig, it's enough for P7 just now.
Yeah, P7, and just ahead of him P6, Simon Palmer, one of his best qualifying so far. Hoping for him to have a good qualifying session for once. And looking down the rest of the field, we have a lot of guys actually opting for the medium tyres, one of them being our championship leader, Aaron J in 10th. He's just on the edge of getting knocked, well, having the choice of 3 tyres and from 11th and down, so maybe he'll be looking to get a soft run in at the end.
Adriel Lockdock's finally managed to set a time, but it's not a very competitive one, unfortunately. It's a 15.3 and is a good bit back, but it does look as if he's maybe just going to chap on in this set of tyres. He's got plenty of energy left, so might go for another flyer. Do know that he has been carrying plenty of pace, very competitive looking in Abu Dhabi. He is going to be 1.1 seconds up on his sector 1 time, but yeah, getting plenty of lock up there as well in that Renault. Almost enough curb there to invalidate through the hairpin. Plenty understeer through Potier, so a lot of drivers struggling through there tonight, Jakob. That might just be the slightly more aggressive setup, running those potential 10-11 wings to allow them to maybe slice through the field if any opportunities arise a bit later on.
Yeah, it looks to be a lot of guys, as you said, struggling. Yeah, this might be because of the qualifying, as they were are willing to risk everything, even losing a tyre, if that is what makes them get to the front of the grid, as it is very crucial here to the qualifying is, well, I would say even more than 50% of the combined result. Yeah, Beck currently provisional P1, as he was purple in Sector 1, he abandoned his lap in Sector 2, cutting the chicane of turn 10 and 11, so he had to pit, and he'll just have enough time to go for one more run.
Currently only 2 drivers out on track. We're on board with the Hailstone in the bright pink Racing Point as he just starts his flying lap. Reshka will be closely following, just coming down the final corner, getting ready to start his, so we'll jump on board with him after. Hailstone struggling a little bit through Sector 1, he's 2 tenths down, he'll be looking to claw that back, plenty understeer through the hairpin, but still manages to get through it, not too bad. Guy's really struggling tonight, tyre temperatures, especially on these softs, being so crucial tonight, Jacob. It gets pretty hot here in Monaco.
Yeah, whenever you get to a certain point, can be very, very hard to control your tyre temperature, and here you turn all the time, and you have to be very precise on your turning in point, so the tyres can come under a lot of pressure very easily around this track, and seems to be a couple of drivers struggling with that already.
It does look as if Reshka's had a slightly rough start to his final flying lap. He's actually retired from this session, looks like he's been caught coming out of Casino. Hailstone's about to come across the line, it's not going to be enough to move him any further up, unfortunately. But certainly keeps the boot in it. Maybe going to go for another run on these softs despite depleting the energy right down. We'll have a little look down the timing sheet to see who else is going to be on a flying lap for us. It does look like the only other car that's currently going for a flyer is Keza and his Ferrari for the time being. So we'll stay on board with him. Keza certainly looking pacey so far, Jacob. He's been one of the neatest and tidiest drivers that we've seen so far.
Yeah, Kesa definitely having grip and control of his qualifying, as he usually is qualifying within the top 3, but at a couple of occasions in the races we've seen him struggle and retire a couple of times, unfortunately, but his one lap pace is definitely there, and as we saw last week, his race pace definitely there as well, with a dominant win in Abu Dhabi. So
that's an unfortunate validation now for the man in the Ferrari, so unless he's going to go for another flyer this time around, which does look as if it's going to be the case, he's made his way back down the pit straight. Next car to start a flying lap is going to be Matty and his McLaren. Only McLaren left out there in the track. His teammate currently sat in the second row alongside Keza in his Ferrari, so see if Matty can get himself a bit further up the session, if Steel B's decided that enough's enough and no longer any time in the session for him to get out and another lap in. Be on board with Matty, plenty of oversteer coming out of the hairpin there as he heads down into Poti 8. Again, plenty of understeer, a lot of cars struggling here.
Yeah, lots of cars struggling, and now it seems like all of the medium runners have abandoned their medium tyres and now went for the soft tyres at the very end for the last run, with Matty actually going purple in Sector 2, 8 tenths up in his time at the moment. This will, if Matty actually manages to finish this lap, looks to be well up the order from P11 at the moment as he crosses the line. It's a 10.5 and he's into 5th, just ahead of Hailstone and just behind Reshka, who retired, his teammate from McLaren.
It's not a bad lap at all. Certainly puts him up there anyway. We'll have a little look down the order to see who else is going to be on a lap. Does look as if Beck 9000 has invalidated his flying lap, but maybe just looking to try and keep a bit of energy in it. Despite being on pole for the time being, he might go for one more run. And the current championship leader, we haven't looked at him just yet, so what we're going to do is stay on board with RNJS 1992 for a lap. See how he tackles Sector 1. So the reason he's championship leader, surely he should be finding himself up a bit higher than P11 so far, obviously struggling. Sector 1 is going to be just under a tenth and a half up, so a little bit of a second guess there into the hairpin, taking it quite a bit slower than we've seen the majority of guys so far.
Lange actually goes almost 3 tenths up at the first 2 sectors now, coming out to the finish line. You're looking to challenge pole position.
Wow, that's
just
close.
Shy with 3 thousandths. That's so unfortunate for the Lange, but what a lap he managed to put in at the final second. But yeah, this unfortunately doesn't move him further up the grid as he still remains in second place.
Jeffrey Henney looks as if he's unfortunately going to be aborting his final lap, and Aaron's decided to do the exact same. He's decided 12th position will do for me. Jump on board with Beck 9000 to see. Does look as if Beck has actually backed off a little bit as well. The only car that's going to be left out on track is that's it. That's your qualifying for the evening, guys.
Very interesting to see Aaron J all the way down in 12th.
And you see a couple of guys already opting for that alternate strategy. Andrew Lockdock and Steel B going to be starting inside the top 10 on those medium tyres. Guys outside, the 4 of them, going to obviously have free choice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a bug on my screen, but it is saying that Andrew Lockdock has done 5 laps on those medium tyres, so I'm not too sure what his strategy is going to be heading into the race, but interesting to do 5 laps on one tyre in a qualifying session, that's for sure.
Maybe committing himself to the 2-stop. It could all open up a little bit later on. If you do go for a slightly more conservative setup, you could actually look after the tyres well enough and avoid getting up to those high temperatures. Soft medium's actually possible, but here are your qualifying classifications, guys. Does look as if we've got a couple of guys with grid place penalties as well, unfortunately, but Spec 9000 on pole, a 109.905, very good time there from the man in the Renault, and 0.003 behind is Delaney and his Red Bull. Keza half a second back from pole takes the second row with Reshka, closely followed by his teammate in the McLaren, Matty. We've got the Hailstone P6, Simon Palmer P7 with a 5-place grid penalty. Craig takes P8, but he obviously inherits P7. Adji Lockdock, Steel B, and Jeffrey Henney will round out your top 10. There is another grid place penalty there as well. I didn't catch who that was for, Jacob. Don't know if you did.
Simon Palmer and Steel B, I believe.
Steel B is also going to drop down and start in last position, unfortunately. So Jeffrey Henney will inherit another position. It'll be R&J behind Gareth and Colin, having a rotten run the Mercedes, unfortunately, for qualifying. Colin on it, unfortunately unable to get a time even set, but it'll be interesting to see what the guys opt to do off the start here. It does look like we do have at least a dry start to qualifying. I don't know if you've had... No, we have. We've had the weather confirmation in as well, guys, so it's going to be dry all night. The report from Gareth. So it's gung-ho, all guns blazing, and flat out for the full evening. Like we said, strategies, it's all going to come into play tonight, Jacob. To be fair, you want to spend as little time on the softs as possible if you are running a more aggressive setup. With temperatures getting up, they start to feel a bit iffy after lap 4 or 5. Realistically, they can go to maybe lap 11 or 12. Those that do opt to pit a little bit earlier and maybe go for the undercut could find themselves doing either a double medium stint, or if they're very, very careful, take a set of mediums from round about lap 10 all the way. They can last round about 30 laps if you are really careful and look after them. A lot of drivers, I'm sure, will be picking up plenty of wing damage over the course of the evening with multiple pit stops. Realistically, you want to be avoiding the hards because they are just dead slow. You will find yourself being a bit of a roadblock, but that's the thing with Monaco. You are a literal roadblock. There is very few places to even think about getting past, as your predicted pit stop strategy does come up on the screen here and show you just what we were saying, but the delta does show, as we said, Jacob, 2-stop is the quickest, soft, medium, medium, but traffic definitely going to play a massive factor. It's Beck 9000 that's going to have the best chance, as he's found himself on pole.
Yeah, and as I've just made a mistake with the Haas cars, it looked to be Jeffrey Henney picking up the five grip positions, not Steel B, so Steel B actually moving up to 9th place because of the Simon Poma and his teammate Jeffrey picking up the grid position. So R&J in the top 10 even.
Yeah, Adrilock, Dock and Steel B really sitting pretty. The guys that are starting behind on the softs are really going to have a hard time trying to get through these slower moving cars, but if they can do alright and hang on to the back of these soft runners, I'm sure they could be in for a decent result tonight.
Yeah, and it will definitely spice things up with R&J being in 10th at the moment, starting 10th. As we know, he loves his overtaking and has obviously shown great pace so far this season, so he'll definitely be looking to overtake guys here and there, and even on track, not even in the pits, as it is crucial to get out of the pits as early as possible and pit and undercut the cars ahead of you as behind to make sure they stay behind.
It's a very hot lap from Beck 9000 on the formation. Grid pretty spread out, but you'd have been doing well to keep up with him for that one. But yep, the sun is splitting the trees here in Monaco. Looking forward to this one, Jacob. Like we said, despite being a smaller grid, I think it's going to be nothing but non-stop action.
Yeah, definitely. As we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And off they turn and away we go, and Beck 9000 looks to be getting a great start, managing to stay ahead of the Langay into turn 1, and the cars obviously tangling and staying right up each other's gearboxes. Actually the McLaren of, I believe that's Matti, no, not Matti, Reshka, challenging the Ferrari of Kissa in 4th place. Very difficult to keep up the position when they keep changing at Le Mans.
Okay, great shot here into Monaco as everybody needs to go single file. There's absolutely no space round there for two cars. It's starting to open up a little bit. Beck 9000 pulling out just over half a second gap already, but guys will be winding up for waiting for DRS. Best opportunity for overtaking going to come down the sole DRS straight, which is going to be the start-finish straight. Does seem as if the majority of our pack leaders have actually managed to get away pretty cleanly, so not too bad start from the guys here this evening, Jacob.
No, definitely not, as we have a train, as we would have thought going into this race, a train with Beck leading the pack and Delangay Kessa and Reshka staying very close behind it within the half a second mark.
Aaron's already managed to split our two medium runners through Steel B, and he's hunting down Adrilock Dock on those mediums. An opportunity may come here if we can exert a little bit of energy and make a dastardly attempt around it outside, but he's all over the back of the gearbox of Adrilock Dock. Adrilock Dock doing well to put his car in all the right positions to defend them off the now.
Yeah, the further Adrilock Dock goes on the mediums, the worse the stuff will get for Aaron, and the easier it will get for Adri to defend the position. So, but he just wanted to hold on for now for the next couple of laps and make sure that Aaron J's tyres fall apart, and then that will be his job to stay ahead, obviously. And Adri now getting in a bit of a scramble now, closing up to Craig already. Craig struggling as Matty is as well, with 1.7 up to Hailstone after just 2 laps. So they already seem to be struggling with the temperatures of the tyres at the end of lap 2.
Yeah, it's a tough one for us to follow tonight, Jacob, with everybody being that close to each other, not knowing when the action's going to come or go. Apologies if we do miss anything, but we will try and catch as much as we can. Closest battle just now actually looks to be Reshka and the McLaren closing down on Keza. It's just over a 10th gap there as they now head down towards sector 2.
Yeah, Reshka just having a little look into turn 3 there, but managing to stay behind, as I would have chosen to as well, wisely to stay behind and not challenge there. Very easy to get damage and very tough to go side by side into, well, any part of the circuit except the start-finish straight, pretty much.
Best thing to do this evening is just focus on your own race and try not to make any mistakes, because that's the only thing that's going to let any cars behind you past. It's going to take some daring moves and dive bombs as the Kesa's wing flies off there. That's it. End plate damage.
That's very early.
Yeah.
Very early for Kesa there.
Be interesting to see if he opts to go into the pits. It is only an end plate, so he might manage
on. Hailstone's around.
Hailstone's
around.
Yeah,
his wing is going as well.
Has managed to get back up and running, which is good. Might avoid a safety car as green flags are being waved. Reshka will inherit P3, but Hailstone looks as if he's going to have to pit now as well as Kesa. Be interesting to see what they jump on. Kesa's selected a set of mediums, and I'm hoping for the sake of entertainment, guys, that everybody avoids the hards. The hards could go the entire race distance, and that's exactly what Hailstone decided to do, pitting lap 4 here onto the hard tyres and trying to go to the end.
Yeah, there's a very tricky strategy there for Hailstone, but he had to risk it as he got damage on lap 3, so had to make a tough call for going either the 2-stop on the mediums and the softs or the hards to the end. And as you said there, Ryan, the hards being very slow, so he'll just have to slow up the pack at the very end if he manages to stay on the hards and avoid damage for the rest of the race.
It's round about this stage of the race where the soft runners start to get just that little bit hot in temperatures. Front left certainly start to burn up, as you can see that the medium drivers are kind of holding up a little bit of a chain. Lockdock just over a second back, as well as Steel B a second back. Reshka now sitting the fastest lap of the race with just a little bit of clear air, trying to close up to her front two. So 1:14 flat this early on in the race, it's a pretty strong time. Jeffrey Henney's actually going to have a look at Gareth down the outside, and absolutely nothing Gareth's going to be able to do. He's fighting back, the two of them are going side by side now. Up Au Rivage and into Masonette, but Jeffrey's just going to hold on to it for the time being now as they head down into Casino. Gareth on that softer compound, he's obviously struggling, exactly as we're saying, on those temperatures, but Jeffrey Henney immediately pushing right up to the back of Simon Palmer in that Alfa Romeo. So both now round the hairpin, and it's just so tight all night through the entire circuit, Jakob, nose to tail, and it just makes for great racing around Monaco.
Yeah, you have to be focused at all cost, and if you the moment you lose your concentration or look away from your screen, that's when you crash and get wing damage, as we've seen two guys of Hailstone and Kesa already pick up some damage. So have to stay focused and concentrated for the whole 39 laps to get the best possible result. And Jeffrey Henney looks to be in good shape on those medium tyres, already challenging the likes of Simon Palmer for 9th, as he'll definitely be looking to get some points, as he's had a very tough season so far with a couple of unfortunate races with DNFs and retirement, unfortunately for Jeffrey, as he actually looks to be challenging Simon up the hill into turn 3, but Simon just managing to stay ahead, and a bit further up the field Craig also challenging Matty, who seems to be a bit of a roadblock already, 6 seconds up to his teammate, that being Reshka in 3rd. So maybe this is a tactical decision to make sure Reshka will stay in 3rd, I'm not sure, but definitely managing to hold up Craig as he almost goes to challenge him into turn 11 and 10-11, and as he hits the wall there, but luckily for Craig he avoids damage, and Matty has to cut the chicane of turn 11 and still managed to stay ahead, avoid any warnings, I believe, or definitely didn't get a penalty there.
Yeah, it does look as if Matty's actually missing both his end plates on that front wing, despite cutting the chicane. Really should be giving Craig that position back, but Matty's going to opt to peel into the pits. It gives Craig a little bit of clear air. Matty peeling into the pits just that little bit too hot. It's also actually going to bring Craig under a little bit of pressure now from Lockdock. Craig with absolutely no energy left by the looks of it. Lockdock going to be on slightly better and more effective tyres, as those mediums are going to be coming into play over the softs. So this is where your battle is so far this evening, guys. Craig getting hunted down now by those medium runners.
Yes, Lockdock actually hits the back of Craig there. I believe he avoided damage luckily, as Craig looked to brake a little early there, but as we said earlier, the soft tyres will now start to feel a bit iffy, and the grip will be worse each lap. And this is pretty much the moment where you'd want to pit and then get the undercut of the drivers near you. But IRL actually dive bombing there, both of them having to cut the chicane. Craig picking up a 5-second penalty. Nothing he could do there, had to cut the chicane there. For that, IRL looked to be a replica of last season with Max Verstappen going down the inside of Lewis Hamilton there.
Yeah, it's going to be unfortunate. Not much that Craig could do there, and that 5-second penalty that you just picked up, unfortunately, looks as if he's actually going to have to serve that in the pit lane. So certainly going to compromise Craig's race this evening. Like we said, not much that he could do. Avoiding contact, needing to cut that chicane, but yep, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately he had to serve the 5-second penalty already, so he'll most likely get out behind the likes of Aaron J, who pitted early on the hards, and Matty as well. Very unfortunate for Craig there, who looked to be having a great race, challenging for 4th. That's just how quickly things can turn around for you in Monaco.
Reska's managed to close up to the back of Delaney now for 2nd position within that DRS zone. Not that it means much, but certainly brings him into that fighting window, putting a bit of pressure onto Delaney, try and force him into some mistakes. That's when opportunities will arise, as the soft runners will be contemplating pitting over the next few laps. The majority of pit stops you've seen so far have been at the result of damage. Everybody continuing to go around as we see so far from the front 3. But Bet 9000 stellar drive so far, 4-second gap now to Delaney, well out in the lead, so hopefully he can continue to extend, and hopefully we can also avoid any safety cars. But Simon Palmer now opting to pit from the softs. The Haas drivers pretty close together. Jeffrey Henney certainly rounding up those positions. Wouldn't be surprised if he was on the blower to still be saying, come on, we've got that bit more pace potentially. I'm already up, what's that, 6-8 positions?
Yeah, something like that.
A 3-second time penalty, but yeah. Bits of carbon fibre flying everywhere by the looks of it now down into the hairpin. Not sure if that's any cars in front. Yep, safety car, full
Is that a Haas
safety
car
car
around?
I think it might have actually been the Renault of Adri Lockdock. Not seen anything on the map that could have caused that safety car. Having a look down the timing sheet, not sure what it could have been. I'm trying to see who's got damage, if anybody, and I don't know if it might have been Colin actually, but it does look like he's actually decided to retire in the pit. So the 3 at the front will laughing. Free pit stop. The guys in the mediums will probably look to come in as well, and Beck 9000's actually spending just that bit longer in the pits, as he's going to get a wing change. So Reska also being held slightly. Adri Lockdock's going to inherit the lead, but
yeah, Delaney almost overtaking Beck in the pits, but Beck just managing to stay ahead now. Adri, Steele and Jeffrey continuing on those medium tyres, as Colin's car is just stationary there on between turn 1 and turn 2.
It's surprising that unfortunately looks like the car has made its way back out onto the track even after Colin retiring, so not many places for it to obviously pull over and get huckled away by the marshals. Only opportunity really to be down there into the Maribo, as that does look exactly where the car's peeled off to go in. So yeah, safety car on lap 10 here. A lot of the soft runners obviously benefiting crucially from that. Like we said, track position being everything. Adri Lockdock, Steel B and Jeffrey Henney now inheriting those podium positions, but it's still Bet 9000 that is your net P1. Reska did look as if he got held in the pits there slightly, as the Red Bull of Delaney trickled down the pit lane. Obviously an unsafe release would have meant the McLaren being released into the path of the Red Bull, but it was a close one. Like you said, Jakob, Beck nearly getting jumped as well, obviously suffering very minimally, because he was still pulling out a gap unless he picked up wing damage as he was making his way around that lap. very interesting to see if he did have wing damage and was still pulling out gaps like that. It'd be interesting to see what Beck 9000 can do from the safety car restart with these guys in front who are on older mediums.
Yeah, definitely with Atri being in the lead, this can either benefit him or it will most likely, well, benefit the others who pitted the last lap, with Atri obviously hoping for Jeffrey and Steel B to battle and hold up the rest of the pack with them being on fresh tyres, so Atri can get a bit of a breathing space down to second place, and then if he manages to pull a big enough gap, then maybe pit and then even get out ahead of them. So lots of interesting battles and strategy choices coming, going ahead, but yeah. A lot of guys losing, and Aaron J being on the hard tyre down at 7, so he'll definitely lose out, with the likes of Matty and Craig on the medium tyre just behind him, so they'll definitely be looking to get ahead of him as soon as possible. And yeah, Hailstone and Kesa, this is pretty much revived their race, as they had a bit of a tricky time at the first couple of laps with wing damage, and this has definitely brought them right back into the race.
Yeah, it certainly has, as although the pack has bunched up. Yep, it is confirmed we are going to have safety car in this lap. If you are enjoying what you're watching on stream tonight, guys, make sure that you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do also stream the Xbox races to Twitch, twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League, and if you want to be kept up to date with all the live notifications, best place to find that out is our social media channels. Twitter being the main feed for everything. We are always updating at Invictus RL on Twitter, as Adri Lockdock's now going to take us round, get an absolutely perfect jump, and he's already got a second gap to Steel B behind in the Haas. And Jeffrey Henny's also fallen a further second back from his teammate as well, so quite a bit of a jump there from the start. 3-second time penalty for our current championship leader straight off the bat, as that looks as if it's been an infringement of his third warning to pick up. 3-second penalty at turn 1.
Yeah, looked to be a bit early for Aaron J to pick up the penalty, as I believe he's the first one to pick up the 3-second penalty for cutting corners, but yeah, looked to be getting a great start after already out of the second, and Jeffrey also managing to keep his position, just getting a bit of a gap to Beck, but Beck now closing in, and will be right up the Jeffrey's gearbox for the next couple of corners.
Says this is where the fight's going to be off the bat. If we're going to see any on-track overtakes, it's going to be the man that had the pace to put himself on pole, chasing down those cars that are on an older set of tyres. Does look as if Jeffrey Henney got a little bit out of shape there. Beck 9000 going to close right up to the back. He's all over that Haas. Really need to focus on getting a good exit, but the best exit looks to be Reschke and the McLaren just that little bit further back. Is he going to have a look? Certainly thought about it, decides to tuck back in behind Delaney in the Red Bull for now, and it's Reschke's fellow McLaren of Matty that's now picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
Yeah, Reschke, they look to be getting a good exit, but Delaney just managing to defend his position and holding the inside line there, so really know where Reschke could go, and he had to stay behind for the moment being, and definitely this is when Delaney would look to get ahead of Beck, as we know Beck pulled a gap of 4 or 5 seconds to Delaney, so this is Delaney's chance to overtake Beck while battling with Jeffrey, but yeah, Beck still staying behind Jeffrey. Jeffrey struggling a lot on those, well, semi-worn medium tyres, and staying ahead for the moment, but looks to be hitting the wall turn there and cutting the chicanes.
Don't think he does have any damage, but those tyres, oh, maybe he does. Front left end plate damage, as Kez is now picking up his time penalty. Beck 9000's biggest opportunity is going to come here. He doesn't have DRS assistance just yet, but setting purple sectors, it's certainly going to open it up through turn 1. Not quite close enough just yet. Certainly going to hamper the chances. Jeffrey doing pretty well despite having wing damage. Still holding that second gap to his teammate in front, but much closer this time around, Jakob, off the restart.
Yeah, definitely. Now the train has started once again, and the gap's obviously closing in, but interesting to see what the strategy is from the guys will be from now on. The likes of R&J being on the hard tire, he can even box for the soft tires if he manages to pull a gap and get ahead of Matty on the medium tire, who seems to be staying with R&J for the moment being, and a bit further back looks to be Simon Palmer struggling most for the time being, as his gap is almost down to 2.5 seconds, 2.7 as he locked up his tyres there into turn 10.
Beck 9000 actually got up alongside Jeffrey Henney through the tunnel there, but Jeffrey Henney obviously struggling with understeer with that end plate hanging off the Haas. Completely shut the door and there was nowhere the Renault could go. Luckily managed to back out and avoid any contact or picking up damage of his own. He's going to have to back to the drawing board and have another go, as Beck's actually fallen backwards into the clutches of Delaney potentially.
Yeah, it does look like he's got damage, and yeah, there comes
safety car, and it's Keza who's decided that's enough. Unfortunately, we no longer have any Ferrari running in the session. Wojtek unfortunately unable to race this evening. It wasn't our fault tonight, Keza. We haven't given yet the Ferrari curse. Still flagging yellow flags in sector 3. Keza's car making its way back out to Beck 9000, going to have a good look, and Jeffrey again just going to completely close the door on Beck and his Renault. I can only imagine the frustration that's been vented under that crash helmet.
Yeah, Jeffrey managing to defend his position, and very interestingly, as they exit the turn 8 going into the tunnel, Jeffrey already before he goes on the throttle starts to defend the inside line, as he knows that it's very tricky to go side by side in a tunnel with turn 9 being, well, it's a full throttle turn, but very tricky to go two side by side there, and Beck having to stay behind for the moment, and obviously being even trickier to go to overtake into turn 10 if the car on the outside brakes later than you, and that's exactly what happened. Jeffrey now staying ahead for the moment being, and the Haas car is looking to pick up some, well, incredible points for the time being, as they're already down in 9th place, only having 15 points this season, with that being Steel B in the first race of the season, winning at France. So they'll definitely be looking to take advantage of the safety car, and look to be two Haas's on the podium, and Renault in 1st and 4th at the moment.
Does look like Karen J's managing to hold on not too bad, just over a second back from Reska, who we know's seriously got some pace. A lot of drivers choosing to be sensible, trying to avoid as much damage as possible. We know how easy it is to pick up round Monaco, but it's good to see the calibre of driver that we have here right across the board at Invictus Racing League, all the way down from F1 to F4, managing to race this close to each other. Is it Steel B who's going to be peeling in now from second position to pit and potentially commit to a one stop? Yep, he's putting on a set of hards, so I'm a bit surprised there that he didn't extend it a bit further and get himself onto a set of softs at the end, but a lot of drivers just obviously not feeling comfortable extending these stints on the tyres, as like we said, Jacob, we know how hot the temperatures can get.
Yeah, it looked to be a bit early of Steel B, but he maybe just be looking to get the undercut of the drivers ahead of him, as he was struggling to get ahead of Adri, and started to struggle at the last couple of laps with Jeffrey starting to push him from behind. So yeah, but a bit early, and I would say you could even stretch the mediums for 25s to close to 30 laps, but yeah, different strategy, and as I said earlier, lots of different strategies tonight, and we never really know what's going to be the fastest, as it really only matters if you get ahead of the driver behind.
Turn our attention back to the front after watching the Hailstone chase down the two cars in front of him on the hards. Hailstone obviously having pace in that racing point, but Simon Palmer and Gareth Hall looking to go to the end. Beck 9000 still finding himself behind his Haas and actually falling backwards now. As
Jeffrey Henney just came really close to the wall there, and that will bring back in for the contention of P2, but still stays behind as he knows he has to be ahead of Jeffrey into the corner for him to overtake, as Jeffrey is defending his position very well, and to his right he is defending it as good as he can, and now Beck will definitely be looking to put the pressure on Jeffrey coming into turn 11, just exiting the tunnel there, just a bit too far behind to dive bomb, as we have seen. He's tried a couple of times already, but still staying in P3, and Adri still staying in front, but not managing to pull a gap down to Jeffrey, only half a second between them.
Just looks like Beck 9000 doesn't have the energy to get any moves done, but that's it. Jeffrey Henney pushing right up to the back of Adri Lockdock now, but is this teammate tactics? Adri Lockdock doing everything he can to force Jeffrey Henney into a mistake as he gets well out of shape out of the final corner. Jeffrey Henney already defending the inside, but must be running slippery wings, because like we said, Beck really struggling through here. No energy left to even have a look.
Second penalty there.
Yeah, and that might affect him towards the end of the race, but Beck 9000 doing everything he can to find a way by, but it's just not going to happen. Now that is a very, very wide hash, Jacob.
Yeah, and this is coming into a tricky part of the race with Beck still keeping on pressuring his tyres, and yeah, as we know, the tyres will, when they get hot, it's very, very difficult to get them into a temperature where it's possible to push and get the maximum out of the tyres, and Beck obviously have been pushing for the 9 laps or so since the safety car came in, and this is definitely what I would say this is looks to be what is causing the gap, sudden gaps at the moment, and Jeffrey actually coming very close to Adri Lockdock there into turn 18 and 19 and hitting him, actually losing his front end plate. That's so unfortunately for Jeffrey, who was having such a great race tonight, and this is just going to put him so far backwards, even behind his teammate still being down in 11th. That's so unfortunate, but as we said, we were predicting lots of drivers to pick up front wing damage, as it is very easy around the streets of Monte Carlo, and unfortunately Jeffrey was a victim of that just now.
Beck 9000 still biding his time and being very patient despite coming under quite a bit of pressure now from the drivers behind, but even with that, Jeffrey Henney, even with damage, still managing to hold on to the back of Adri Lockdock pretty well. So Keza already joining us in the stream to watch Jacob after his unfortunate finish from the evening, and Beck 9000 now picked up damage. Yep, that's not great. Just after commenting on how patient and well he's driving, he goes and ends up with front wing damage. Wouldn't be surprised to see the man in 2 and 3 peel into the pits this lap and get themselves onto a set of tyres that will go to the end. The Haas dives in, the Renault continues on. Adri Lockdock still your race leader and still yet to pit. Your effective net leader now is Delaney in that Red Bull, as he's coming under some serious pressure now from Reska. Sector 3 yellow flags.
Is that a Haas around yet again? Oh. Yeah, I believe it was. Steelby now going into the pitch on his 3 laps, all hard tyres, and actually having to wait because of his teammate going into the pit, so that's definitely not ideal for the Haas cars, and even having to get his front wing change, and that's going to put him right at the end of the grid, and having half a lap up to the point scoring positions already.
Reska very lucky not to pick up wing damage there on the back of Delaney, despite a little bit of contact down into Maribor. Big lock up on the brakes. Reska going to back off just a little bit to recompose himself before he has a look at making another charge. Matty picking up another 3-second time penalty, I believe that's his total up to 6, and it's actually the Haas that's going to come out of the pits and have
Steelby's around again, unfortunately.
As he found himself sideways, he better get himself back up and moving. So it does look like he has managed to do so before the leaders come around and make their way down the start-finish straight. Closest Reska's been so far, potentially. Bide his time down the start-finish straight. Just try and make sure he gets a better exit than Delaney. Delaney with a much better run through Saint-Deveau. Reska's going to have to hold his horses just for that little bit longer, but R&J on these hards, finding himself all the way up into 5th position, Jacob.
Yeah, INJ doing quite well for the time being, and because of the battling going ahead, he's now, well, he's caught the gap. He's pulled in the gap of, I believe he had a gap of 2 seconds, and behind him even Matty, and Matty closed in now in 6th position. So a train from 2nd all the way down to 6th, and very interestingly, Beck opting to stay out even though he's missing a front end plate, but he's still managing to stay ahead. So if it manages to keep going like this, he'll probably stay out for the rest of the race.
Steel B seemingly hating it a bit more now as he picks up a 10-second time penalty. He's going to peel into the pits, and I think it's inevitable for what's going to happen next. And with where Steel B's actually decided to retire, it's actually potentially going to hamper us if that car does make its way back into track, as we've got cars coming round the track now, Jacob.
Yeah, it looks to be stationary for the moment, but he had a 10
Jeffrey Henney and
yeah.
Craig in the Red Bull, sorry to interrupt Jacob, a bit further back. Looks as if they've had a bit of a coming together. Still going to be yellow flags as Jeffrey Henney's really struggling to get himself going, but it does look as if he's managed to trickle up now. He's missing a lot of that front wing. It looks as if it might even be full red, but back under green flags now. Jeffrey Henney's actually left the session as he's still on track.
Yeah, and unfortunately this is what happens when, well, could happen when you choose to opt for the hard tyres, as they are very slow and can be very tricky to drive, as we saw both Haas cars struggling with the first couple of laps on the hard tyres. But unfortunately to see them in 2nd and 3rd for so long, and now both of them retiring, I suppose.
Now, Delaney with plenty of energy, Beck 9000 struggling. If there's going to be anybody that goes for a move, it's surely the man in the Red Bull. We need to see some action, as everybody's just been following each other in single file. Somebody's going to have to make the lunge and go for that dive bomb, but everybody's struggling to get traction out the corners. It's the car in front that are managing to get better exits, so Delaney maybe going to be close enough to have a little look at Beck. As again, absolutely no space around Monaco. He's not going to be able to make his way up the inside there. Beck 9000 just going to close the door, and it's smart defending, but that's the only issue, Jacob. It's not the greatest to watch. Want to see some action.
Yeah, and very interestingly, Delaney has been getting, well, I'd say probably the best of exits out of turn 1 each and every time, and Rishka getting the better exit out of the last corner, so getting the couple of drivers fighting for, well, provisional P1 is having a hard time at certain corners, and Beck's just struggling for grip, and obviously with his front end damage, he definitely won't help the situation, and Delaney just itching to get ahead, but very difficult around. Even when he has wing damage, it is so tricky, and you have to be right of his gearbox at the start-finish straight to have a chance of overtaking him, as it looks like he is that. But yeah, Beck getting a better exit of the last corner, and nothing Delaney can do there.
Delaney maybe setting himself up for a look out of turn 1, as Delaney's certainly been hooking that corner up pretty nicely so far this evening, but Reshka looks as if he's maybe starting to get a little bit impatient. He's looking at the back of that Red Bull as if to say, right, come on, you've been there for long enough, it's my turn to have a go.
Yeah, and even Aaron J and Matty joining will probably want to get ahead as well.
Well, Beck 9000 playing everything right into his teammates' hands. The further back that he can get the drivers behind, the better Adri's going to be when he eventually makes that pit stop. Just over 20 seconds he's going to need to sit in that pit box for. Not going to be far off putting a set of softs on within the next 5 laps. I don't think you can get any closer than actually making contact, not picking up damage, as that's exactly what Delaney does. He's letting Beck 9000 know, right, I need to get through, are you going to move, or am I going to have to do something?
Yeah, what Delaney needs to do now is to save up his euros, but seems to be what he's struggling with, and obviously difficult to overtake with no euros available. And same goes for Beck, but he manages to stay ahead, so he's doing something right at least. Yeah, Reshka having a bit of years to play with, but not anything major. So the guys just need to save up a bit of ERS and then deplete the whole battery out of the last corner and hope to get a better exit and, well, get ahead into turn 1, which seems to be the issue at the moment for both Reshka, who's had a look a couple of times at DeLange, and DeLange having a look here and there into the tunnel, and looks to be happening yet again.
Now, even though Andrew Lockdock does have that 9-second gap, even if he was to pit, it's still going to bring him out somewhere around about 8th or 9th position. So, despite being on a very set of fresh and soft tyres, there's not going to be much he'll be able to do with it. As we can obviously see, overtaking is extremely difficult around here.
Yeah, DeLange going side by side with Beck into turn 12, but DeLange being on the outside, there's nothing he could really do then. Beck still staying in front and doing very well in those, well, semi-1 medium tires, and his front end plate missing.
Reshka behind, maybe struggling with temps or wear on those tyres, finding himself fishtailing all over the shop. Certainly opens everything up. Delaney finding himself in a pretty comfortable position after his second place finish last week. Reshka also finishing in third, so the two potentially on for very strong podiums here this evening. Beck 9000 really been struggling with 2 DNFs on the trot. If he can manage to hold on to this, obviously after Agilocdoc pits, if any penalties come into play, we could have potentially our 11th driver on the podium and also our 6th different race winner. Sorry, 5th different race winner.
Yeah, and that just proves the point of the F3 field being very competitive, and probably the most competitive it has been throughout the history of Invictus Racing League, with it being season 11 and the drivers being so nip and tight and close, and having just a couple of thousand between them on each and every lap, and qualifying as we've seen multiple times already this season. So has been showing some great race so far this season, and DeLange still staying behind Beck. He must be so frustrated with him having a chance for the victory, but if it keeps going like this, even Andrew Lockdock will have a chance. With him going, I believe he'll keep going on the medium so he can go on the soft at the very end. Yeah, and then if it keeps going like this, Beck will probably even slow down so Adri can get ahead of him, and that's 2 birds with 1 stone for Adri. He will then secure fastest lap and race victory, but let's not call anything out, as we have seen the commentator curse come into play a lot of times already.
And is this going to be the move? The two of them finally going to go side by side. Delaney, both of them managing to give each other room. I'm not sure quite how it's possible. Beck 9000 is going to manage to hold on to it.
Yeah, somehow.
A very unorthodox place to look at potentially overtaking through the swimming pool section. Beck 9000 going to hold on to it for at least 1 more lap. Those medium tyres, especially with that front end plate damage, really going to be hampering Beck's result here. These 4 cars are really coming together, and that's just inviting everybody else back.
Yeah, DeLange just kind of squeezed Reshka, and Reshka had to get off the throttle, and luckily he avoided damage. But now it looked to be Aaron J even having a look at Reshka, but staying behind, and probably will find it very hard to overtake on those very old hard tyres, who, yeah, they are incredibly slow compared to the medium tyres, but with the medium tyres being 19 laps.
Come into play, that's the only difference. Despite how slow the hard tyres are, they are going to be coming into play.
Yeah, exactly.
R&J being the only car and driver so far this season to actually pick up multiple race victories. 2 wins on the bounce in round 2 and 3 after his 3rd place finish actually in round 1. Current championship leader finding himself picking up some pretty points here as well this evening. Running in 5th position, penalties potentially coming into play towards the end of the race, but if these 4 cars keep on fighting, it could be anybody's as there's more wings flying about.
Yeah, that was
Delaney's
Delaney who
wing.
lost his end plate, so second and third place runners now losing their front end plate, and yeah, I would say some questionable defending from Beck there, but he's still ahead, and that's the main thing. And Adri still that's staying out. I believe he could pit now for the. It would be optimum for him to pit now for the soft tires, as
He'd probably find himself coming out right in the mix of this battle, potentially finding himself coming out round about Simon Palmer or even the Hillstone with the amount of time that he would need to spend in that pit lane. Matty down in 10th position, picking up that ultimate point for fastest lap, just crossing the start finish line. So that'll be 2 points for him if he can keep it towards the end.
Just having a little look at the current penalty situation, and within the top 5 it only looks to be DeLange having a 3-second penalty, and RNJ actually having 6 seconds worth of penalty, so he'll go, if it stays like this, he'll go down to 8th, I believe, even. So he'll have to get a move
still
on.
Going round Jakob. I'm not sure what he's planning, but it's going to be a very quick stint towards the end on those softs. Certainly could, like you said, pick up that fastest lap, but it's where he's going to come out. He's trying to get that gap. He knows how vital track position is, and he knows what gap that he needs. Bet 9000 being the ultimate teammate, doing everything that he possibly can to make sure that all these cars stay behind him, really just extend that gap, so Adri Lockdock comes out in the best position he can. Reska and Delaney finally going at it side by side. Reska then going to have a little look down into Maribot, going to decide a bit better of it, but it's not a battle of 4 anymore, Jacob, it's a battle of 8. There's another 4 cars piled onto the back of this battle.
Yeah, absolutely incredible scenes, and having with Simon or Palmer, I believe I saw him being 10 seconds behind RNJ at one point, and now he's close right up to the field. So yeah, all the way from 2nd all the way down to 8th, so incredible battle here at the end, and exactly what we was waiting for.
You can now see the gap that Adri Lockdock is managing to build, 17.5 seconds. Pretty much everybody behind him carrying wing damage. Delaney's fallen over that 2nd threshold as he quickly pulls himself back in. Actually, it's up to within half a second now with Beck, so I'm not sure what happened through the beginning of sector 3 as they make their way down the start finish straight. R&J's going to be all over the back of Reska this time around, and equally Reska's going to be all over the back of Delaney. Focus on getting a good exit, guys, and saving a bit of energy. Still not going to be able to do anything. We're on board with Reska just now, and you can get as close as you like, there's just not going to be enough space.
Now the Reska now must be so frustrated, and Delange will do everything in his power to defend that 3rd position, as he knows that RNJ, he probably knows that RNJ's got penalty, so he'll stick onto that 3rd slot, but Reska, yeah, so frustrating for him, as he would be looking to challenge Beck for the 2nd place. And actually up ahead we have Adri Lockdock 18 seconds ahead. If he just manages to keep going like this, he'll end up, as he goes into the pits now, he'll probably go into...
It's going to be interesting. Where is he going to come out? I'm expecting, with that gap that he's managed to pull, close. It's going to be very close to the likes of R&J and Simon Palmer. Unless he's got front end plate damage himself for any penalties to serve. So he's now going to be coming out of the pits. Where is he going to be?
Just ahead of Beck.
Wow. So that
perfectly
was a very short
by the
pit
Renault
stop.
guys.
I don't think you could be any happier. Adri Lockdock onto an absolute flyer. Set of soft tyres with 6 laps to go. All he needs to do is bring it home. And Beck 9000 now dropping Delaney to 2.3 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if Beck 9000 was on the blower. Right, come on Adri, I've done an absolute job for you. Let me through and you do the job of defending everybody else.
Yeah, Beck will definitely be getting some praise from Adri Lockdock at the moment, and very, very interesting to see that Adri actually went 32 laps on the medium tyres, and he went 5 laps in qualifying, so all in all I believe that's 37 laps old medium tyres. So yeah, Adri Lockdock doing absolutely wonders on those medium tyres, as as we know, and we say multiple times that he just loved the harder compounds, and just really good at looking after his tires and saving, and yeah, this is exactly what has made him P1, and his pace is just incredible on those medium and hard tires.
Reschke actually getting a bit out of shape and banging off walls there, actually managed to avoid picking up any damage, but Delaney having to peel to the outside to try and defend against the McLaren. The two are finally going to come side by side. Delaney decided that he didn't want to give Reschke any room. The final podium position is being claimed. Delaney wants to put his stamp on it, but like we've said, Reschke are going to be getting very frustrated. There's a gap to the two in front. They will be thinking about it. What do you think, Jacob? Did the Reynolds pull the old switcheroo towards the line? Was a thank you to Beck for doing the job for Adrian Lockdock and keeping him out there? I'd certainly be asking. I'd be asking the question if it was me.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, it could actually happen. This, strangely enough, Adrian Lockdock doesn't seem to be pulling a gap to his teammate Beck, who is both on old mediums and has got front end plate damage. So a bit of a strange one. I'm not sure if Adri is saving up some ERS or if he's just trying to
might have a little think, but not exactly as we expected. He's peeled to the side and let Beck 9000 through. The ultimate teammates. Adri Lockdock still up 6 positions, however, will more than likely pick up driver of the day, but Beck 9000 now your race leader. Be interesting to see if they just keep the gap as is. Closest Reschke's going to be again, and Reschke's actually now picked up end plate damage, trying to get a look at Delaney. So very unfortunate now for the man in the McLaren. I can only imagine the curse words that are coming out of that mouth.
Yeah, and that will bring the total up to, I believe, everyone in this train except Gareth and Aaron J having wing damage. So everyone on equal terms for the time being, and yeah, so unfortunate for Reschke, who looked to be well faster than Delaney with the wing damage, and Delaney actually looked to pick up even more wing damage.
Gareth actually on the freshest set of mediums out there. Looks as if he's actually just got a move done on the Hailstone. He's now going to be closing up to the back of Simon Palmer's, who's on a set of 26 lap old hards. Reschke still managing to hang on to the coattails of Delaney. We'll jump back on board with that to see if anybody can get a move done, as Aaron's also going to be thinking about it. Lucky not to pick up end plate damage there, and there is going to be end plate damage potentially now. Was that Gareth actually going into the back of Simon Palmer? It is wing plate damage for Gareth. Sorry, end plate damage.
And behind we have Matty in 9th place. He was 8 seconds behind on the last lap, so he has managed to pull in 7 seconds in 1 lap, and maybe this will even bring Craig into the mix. As I just had a look, as he picked up a penalty, he has picked up some wing damage again, so I'll forget what I said there, and
let's hope Craig forgets as well, as it does look as if the man in the Red Bull's going to peel into the pits and maybe put on a set of fresh boots and go for the fastest lap, snatch it from anybody. He knows he's got that free pit stop to Jeffrey Henney behind, but frustrating race here for Reschke, currently running in 4th, not being able to do anything
no,
to get
Beck
past
just losing his front wing there. Beck now having no front wing.
I think he's going to have no option but
He'll
to
have
let
to go
Adrian
into the
Lockdock
pits.
back past potentially.
That's so, well, that's so frustrating for Beck, who was having such a great race and managing to, well, he was doing brilliant until now, and just forgot to brake and lost in front wing completely, and he will be trying to stay ahead of Delaney, but looks to be absolutely impossible, even with Delaney also having I would say even major damage, losing a bit more on the right side of his front wing. But yeah, Beck now impossible, and impossible to stay ahead of Delaney, as he's closing in half a second every second, so going twice the speed of Beck at the moment, and
you can see that gap
so
tumbling down. Delaney now closing up to the back of the Renault with this big gaggle of cars. Beck 9000 going to do very well to bring it home in a competitive position, but even though he doesn't have a wing, We do know how difficult it is to try and get through, but there's only going to be a couple of laps left to do it. As the gap's now down to just over 3 seconds. Be interesting to see towards the end, but R&J still equally as frustrated to try and get through Reschke and his McLaren now, but everybody driving around with no wings.
Yeah, completely, and it's just, well, whoever reaches the finish line first with all 4 tyres attached to the car will win, as that seems to be the main focus at the moment. And Reschke still just peeling in behind Delange, and just nothing to do behind Delange, who seems to be getting a great exit, and yeah, nothing for Reschke to do really other than to stay behind. And now Delange has caught Beck as Beck hits the inside wall there, managing to stay alive in the race, but will be overtaken by both Reschke and Delange now, and will be a major block for Aaron J, as he actually looked to be brake testing Simon Palmer there, who just lost
crucial
whatever he had left of his wing
there at the same time. But yeah, Beck 9000 running with absolutely nothing now, getting about out of shape, letting Delange through. Reschke doing the exact same, saying nope, there is no chance that I'm going to give up this fight with Delange. For everything that I've been trying this evening, I need to go as well. And fair play to him, he got himself right up alongside and diving down the inside. It was a good move, but everybody behind just getting collected as Beck 9000 becomes a bit of an obstruction on the outside, but nothing that he can do with no wing. It's very unfortunate for Beck in that Renault, and yellow flags now through the swimming pool section. Everybody starting to struggle a bit. It's going to be 1 lap left to do it. Zadra Lockdock now well out into the lead, 8.2 seconds. Beck 9000 going to peel into the pits, and that might be the race over for the man in the Renault. 1 lap left, Reschke. R&J hot on your heels. One of yous need to make the move. It might come down to penalties, as Reschke really struggling now potentially with wing or tyres. He's going to have to defend now from the AlphaTauri. Heading down now into the hairpin. Not going to be enough room through here. Last opportunity realistically. If it's not going to be through the tunnel and into the Novelle chicane, it's going to be into Rascasse. R&J looking like the car that's going to be closest to making any moves on the final lap. Yellow flag sector 2. It's the hailstone getting caught now down at the hairpin. R&J going to have to hold on just for another couple of corners. Reschke, plenty of wheel spin coming out of the Novelle chicane.
Gareth going ahead of Simon there into turn 11, but cutting the corner and giving Simon the position back, and both seem to struggle a lot, as I was on board with them. Seem to be hitting almost every wall possible with the wing damage and locking up the tyres, even on the straights. So yeah, very
missed it,
unfortunate.
guys, apologies. Adrilock coming across the line. Delange is going to cross the line in P2 but get pipped by Reschke in P3. Delange falls. R&J will cross the line, take 4th. Your championship leader, who will stay there, Simon Palmer in 5th. Gareth in 6th. Matty just that bit further behind, does fall a little bit more with time penalties, as the hailstone will actually jump up. 30 laps on those mediums, a very good drive, and Beck 9000 only had a set of hards left to get him to the end of the race. He's going to cross the line, take 9th position, and now it's Craig that's going to come across the line as he rounds out the final points position. I think he might have potentially even picked up the fastest lap of the race as well, but absolute stellar drive from Addy Lockdock, and quite rightly so, as you can see on your screen now, guys, picking up driver of the day. So Jakob will do the rounds, get the guys into the commentary box for the post-race interviews.
Yep, sure.
We'll run through the final standings just as they now appear on screen in a second. Podium celebrations. First off, Adri finding himself on the top step of the podium. Absolutely brilliant drive after a rough start to the season. Only managing 1 podium so far and 3 DNFs back to back. He's finally done it. He's found himself on that top step. I'm sure that champagne will taste pretty sweet. And here are your final race classifications. Adrilock Dock will take tonight's victory. P1. Reshka finding himself on the second step of the podium for the first time. He's had a win, he's had third, now second. Delaney rounding out the podium, P3. Very good drive from our front three this evening. Good climbing as well from R&J taking fourth, Simon Palmer in fifth, Gareth in sixth, the Hailstone in seventh, Matty in eighth, Beck 9000, unfortunate drive from Pole taking ninth. Craig will round out the points position and also claim the fastest lap. Jeffrey Henney and Steele being 11th and 12th, with Keza and Colin 13th and 14th. So it all came down to it at the end, guys. Penalties playing a factor for the final podium positions. Majority of cars trying to make their way around with barely any wings left. But I do have confirmation that all our podium finishers are now in the commentary booth. So if you don't mind, guys, just double checking to make sure that your voice is allowed to be shared for your interview. If you don't know how to do it, push the share button, go down to your audio and broadcast settings. If you go to your audio sharing settings, just make sure that all boxes are ticked and you do have your party chat set to always allow your voice to be shared as well. So I think we will come to your race winner first. Adri Lockdock, you set to go? Now, I think you maybe owe one to Beck there. An absolutely brilliant team effort from the Reynolds. A very, very honourable thing to do as well. Me and Jakob did call it on stream. As a thank you, does Adri Lockdock let Beck through and fend off these drivers that will be hunting him down towards the end, and quite rightly so. Very gentlemanly. It was very good to see on stream, but I'm guessing Beck picking up a bit more wing damage just says, you know what, Adri Lockdock, you've drove pretty well. Just go ahead and take the win. Was that the case? Alright.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, actually, a shame for Beck, who is doing so well, to held off everyone behind. But you obviously getting the dominant win, and yeah, this must be a relief after having 3 DNFs in a row, and now being at the top step of the podium for the first time this season.
No, it was a great drive, Adri, and genuinely we have seen so far this season in the first half that you certainly have the pace to contend at the front. A podium position at round 1. You also picked up the fastest lap round 2. Now, off the back of 3 unfortunate DNFs, a race victory tonight, do you feel that you could still push on for the second half of the season and contend for the title? Well, congratulations again, buddy. You drove flawlessly tonight, so very well deserved. And congratulations again on your first victory here at Invictus Racing League. Now, we turn our attention to the man in P2, Reshka. That's 3 weeks in a row, mate. What have you got to say for yourself?
Well, it's a good result in the end, although I'm not best pleased at the way the race turned out. In particular, I'm rather annoyed at that, in fact. So.
Yeah, you, as you mentioned there, not too pleased about the race. You seem to have quite the battle with the Lange, and at some points, even after you had your wing damage, trying to keep RNJ behind. How did you find it after the safety car?
Yeah, well, after the safety car, I was more or less streaming the entire stint for Beck and Delange to sort out whatever was going off, because I could just see the guys in front on the mediums just drifting further and further ahead, and I'm like, okay, are these two playing some games here? I mean, I'm trying to get on with it. So I'm not best pleased at that. As much as it's nothing, you know, I imagine it's within the rules. I'll double check, but it's not the most sportsman-like thing, I don't think, to holding everybody else up. And then after all that, I'm trying to chase down Delange because I know he damaged his ring, so I'm trying to get past. And several times I had a run on, just about had a run on him leaving Sandoval, and I don't know quite what he thinks a car width is at certain times, but I thought there was some times where I had to completely slam on the brakes to get out of it, otherwise I would have ended up in a wall. So overall, I'm pretty frustrated. I didn't try not to challenge too much because I knew in front of me, okay, Lange's got a penalty, and then behind me's got a penalty, I've got none, so I know I just kind of had to keep myself in one piece and get to the end and be okay, but a frustrating race nevertheless.
We know how difficult Monaco can be, guys, and obviously with everybody putting plenty of practice in to make sure they get the grip position in qualifying, it can be pretty frustrating with struggling to get past everybody in front when you feel that you have that bit more pace. But congratulations nonetheless, Reshka. Third podium in a row is certainly deserved, and although it came down to penalties at the end, I'm sure you wanted to challenge for the win, but I'm sure you're still happy with a second place.
Yeah, no, I am happy. That's the thing. It's just the balance of how hard do I push to get past Delange to try and catch up to those two in front and try and get them on penalties, or do I just kind of be content with the second or third place that I would have ended up? So, no, but I'm pleased with that overall. So.
Well, like we said, congratulations, buddy. We'll turn the attention now to Delange, who does fall to P3 after penalties. A good drive nonetheless, putting yourself on the front row in qualifying, successfully pulling off that one stop, but it's a long time with front wing damage, Delange. You managed to hold on well. How do you feel your race went?
Well, first of all, congrats to the other guys, and sorry for the hard defending. Yeah, I just think the first thing I should say, this is no racetrack. You know, I don't know if you guys got it, but I got stuck behind Beck. I think he got damage when he slowed down. He was so slow into like Roscas, I think it is. So I broke my wing. I could still keep going, and I knew if I'd stop, I'd be dead last. So I just tried to keep it on the track and try to keep everyone behind me, and hope some other guys had some penalties as well. I knew Reshka didn't have any penalties, but yeah, my only guess was just maybe he can pick up a penalty in the last lap or something like that, and I can keep my second place. But it's kind of frustrating. Because Beck was defending pretty hard as well for me, and otherwise I think I could have easily won this race. It's just Monaco is just no racetrack.
Yeah, as you say there, Delange, a lot of hard defending from not only you Beck, and Reshka, almost everyone, but nonetheless you picked up your back-to-back podium here, finishing second in Abu Dhabi, and now, third in Monaco now, going into the break. How will you be looking to charge for the championship at the second stint of the season?
Well, I just try to keep as close as possible and try to close down error on every race, step by step. I closed down another 2 points now. So I think only the gap between us is now 6 points, so it's pretty close. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm happy with the third place, but I'm just not happy with racing around Monaco. Well, I feel sorry for Reshka because I defended really, really hard. I think it was right on the edge.
Well, like we said,
Yeah.
it is tough round Monaco, guys, and I think you all did pretty well nonetheless. You certainly brought the stream the most action of the evening, so the wheel-to-wheel battles, although there weren't many overtakes, it certainly kept everybody on their toes. Can't afford to let it slip, need to be paying attention, but yeah, congratulations to all three. It certainly opens up championship as well for both drivers and constructors. Red Bull now closing right up to the back of Ferrari and AlphaTauri in constructors, and all three sat here on the podium could easily contend for drivers' championship towards the end of the season. So well done.
Thanks. I think
Yeah,
we got Ferrari, to be honest.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Now,
I believe you did. Yeah.
just before we head to the break, Jacob, have you anything to add?
No. Yeah. Well done to the podium guys tonight. Very tricky tonight, and lots of wing damage and sudden pit stops. But well done regardless, and enjoy your break.
Well, that is it for us tonight here, guys. Make sure that you do tune in to finish the week's racing off tomorrow night at 8 PM with the Realistic Performance League on PS4. That's Malc and Tim. And as you heard, we do have a week break. Mid-season break. We commence on Sunday the 4th with Xbox F1 on at Canada. You'll catch myself and Jacob on Wednesday the 7th. But we'll see you all in a couple of weeks, guys. Enjoy your break.